Thanks lots for joining me today in the webinar, and this is the second webinar that we conduct for these units this semester, this summer, for this summer class. Can everybody see that I'm sharing the assessment brief?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay, now first of all, this is important. Please ignore the due date in here, right? The due date in here is not relevant for us. Please refer to the timetable I posted some time ago. All right, sorry, a few days ago. All right, that's the first thing. Okay, and the first assessment, in my view, is probably still a little light. All right, so this is a great opportunity for us to get marks. Right, and the weighting is not bad as well. Right, 25% mark. Right, in terms of rating. In terms of weighting, okay? Now, let's look at the first one. This is assessment one. Let's look at what we need to deliver, okay? There are 3 questions that we need to deliver, okay? There are 3 tasks that we need to deliver for assessment one, okay? Basically, assessment one is a posting, okay? So you post your comments, your analysis on Monday next week, and after that, after a few days, you will find your friends post their comments as well. You select 2 postings and you give feedback to that posting. Okay, so that's assessment one, right? And now let's look at the questions of assessment one. Okay, if you look at that, the first thing that we need to do is to define concepts and processes in marketing, right? So that's one that we are going to discuss today as well, right? Now remember, we discussed a couple days ago, we discussed about the analyzing, slicing, and dicing the question or task, so we can respond to it correctly, okay? So here, the question is actually defined, okay? So in other words, you need to offer a definition, okay? If you don't offer a definition, then we actually miss the question. Okay, so we need to offer a definition of marketing, okay? And you also need to explain why it is important to your chosen product or services or organization or institution. Right now, let's talk about it briefly later on after this, okay? The second question is actually about, if you look at that, identify and discuss one explicit, one. So you need to explain one only, right? Marketing environmental factor or force and its potential impact on the organization. Okay, so you only need to select one. Okay, so you need to identify it and you need to discuss. Right, when it comes to identify, you need to explain. You need to show. Okay, this is the one. Okay, but the question in here also requires us to discuss why it is affecting our organization. Okay. And the next one is provide comments of what you consider the company should do. So what do we have to do in relation to this environment? Okay, because the environment out there is a constant change, right? So that they are the tasks that we need to deliver. Okay, now what I'm going to, are we clear with the task, or anybody has question about the task? Oh, good. All right. Now let me just pull out my my other a blank document. Hang on a second. I think I've prepared that blank document. Okay. Okay. Can you all see my blank Word document?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yes.
Remember, we need to deliver a formal writing style. Although the assessment is about posting, right? A discussion forum posting, but we still need to deliver an informal writing style, formal structure. Okay. So one of the key features of formal writing structure is the headings or subheadings, right? As discussed yesterday. So we need to deliver that, right? And of course, we need to use formal writing style. Okay. Now, this is my recommendation. It's up to you how you take it, right? You may want to write with the introduction. Start with introduction, right? This is where you introduce the company, right? Introduce the company and the product or service. Okay. If the company has lots of products, like Apple, for instance, you may want to select one of them. Okay, you may want to select one of them. Apple has range of product, yada yada. You briefly explain the history of the company and so on and so forth, right? And you then focus on one specific product, because if you look at the entire product, they may have different marketing environments, right? For instance, the competition that they face may be different, right? Each product might have a different competitive landscape. Right, so you may want to focus on specific product or service, otherwise it may be too large, right? But I'll leave it to you. This is my recommendation, right? Then you look at the next one, and for the next one, you can look at the, you can label it as marketing concept, for instance, marketing concept and process. Okay, here you explain the definition, and you explain the process. Okay. And you offer your own critical thinking in here, right? Your own, when I say critical thinking, right, critical analysis in here, you can build on the definition that you research. Now, in terms of definition that you research, I would recommend you to look at the American Marketing Association's definitions of marketing, right? You can also look at your e-texts, okay, to find out the definition of marketing. Okay, the one that that the American Marketing Association has published is basically one of the comprehensive one. Okay, and then you look at marketing environment. Okay, you explain briefly about the concept, and then you select one environment factor, right, that affects the business. That affects the business or organization, right? And you show how it affects. Okay, in here you want to show the facts. Okay, you want to show the facts. These this will affect the organization in the following way. Okay, you show the facts or references. Okay, and after that you analyze how the organization responds. Right, response. Let's say the next one is the organization's response. Response. Okay, and this is basically about and then you offer your analysis in terms of how they should respond, right? How they have responded, and you can also offer how they should respond. Okay, and look, references. Don't forget about references, and look at how many references that you need to include in your analysis, in your posting. Okay, look at the rubric. Don't forget the rubric. Okay, to look at the because the rubric is going to be used to as reference for us to mark our assessments. Okay, right. So that's basically the one I'd like to highlight to you. Any questions in terms of assessment one? Any questions so far?
No.
No. Yeah. Okay, good. What I'm going to do next is to discuss the contents. All right, to discuss the okay. Can anybody? Can you all see my my PowerPoint presentation slide?
Yep.
Okay, brilliant. There are two things that I'd like to achieve in here, right? The first one is to discuss what marketing is, okay, and the second one is marketing environments, right? So there are two major goals I'd like to achieve with today's session. And I do expect that you have at least gone through the learning resources such as the webinar, the recording, the video presentations, and also your e-texts. Okay, so we can move on quickly. Okay, right now look, marketing. When it comes to marketing, a lot of people may say marketing is advertising, promotion, and so on and so forth, right? Now, can I please ask, what do we understand about marketing? Can anybody?
It's an exchange between a customer and a company or a business, and it's got to work both ways. So the company has to be able to offer something to the customer, and it needs to fill a need for that customer. And the customer then also in return then purchases the product, etc., etc. And so it's an exchange. It's working both ways.
Fantastic.
kind of what I'm understanding.
Now look, I like that because you know what? Exchange is the key word in marketing, right? And I would strongly recommend you to include exchange when you define marketing, right? In your analysis for the first assessment, right? When it comes to analyzing marketing definition, please include the word exchange because it is the key word in marketing. All right. Now, thanks a lot for sharing your thoughts. If we step back a little bit, look, when I studied marketing some time ago, people say marketing is advertising, and because advertising is so prominent in marketing activity. Okay, and today's marketing landscape, when I ask marketing in my class, some people say it's social media, it's Facebook. Hang on a second. Social media, Facebook is just little thing that we do in marketing. There are a number of things that we do in marketing actually. Okay. Now let's say we set up a company. Okay. This is my company. Okay. This is my firm. Let's say we, everyone in here, join me to set up the firm. Okay. And you may ask me, how do we get the money, Eddie? Well, look, let's say we won $10 million lotto. By the way, I'm not encouraging you to buy lotto, okay? It is just, anyway, we get the money, okay? Our firm will not live alone. As you mentioned, our firm will interact with someone else, at least in this instance with the customers, okay? We interact with the customers, right? Now, how do we interact with the customers? This is what we call as the This is what we call as the exchange process. Our interaction with the customers is what we call as the exchange process, okay? Now let's zoom into what we mean by exchange, okay? When exchange actually takes at least two parties, agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
When two parties are engaged in the exchange process, these two parties must offer something, okay? As logic, okay? As the implication, right? So in this instance, as a company, we have something to offer. We have the offering, okay? And the customers has need. Without the customer's needs, we can't drive the exchange process because it is not relevant for the customers, okay? The other thing that the customers must have so we can drive the exchange process is their purchase power. Okay. Without that, we cannot drive the exchange process. Okay. Now let's look at further. Okay. So when the customers say, "Hey, I like what you offer because what you offer meet my need." Okay. In other words, when the customers say that, the customers say what we offer help them solving problem. Okay. Help them solving problem. Okay. Look, in terms of solving problem, it does not have to be high technological product that we offer for the customers. Okay, it could be as simple as laundry detergent. It could be as simple as nappies for babies that absorb liquid better. So we help babies to sleep well at night. Okay, if babies sleep well at night, parents will be happy because mom and dad will have enough time to sleep. Right, so the next day they can be fresh and do their work activity, their daily activity normally. Okay, so with that we actually help customers solving the problem, right? And in saying that, we actually have created value for customers. Guys, there you go. That is another keyword that we also want to consider in our definition. Okay, so. When the customers say that, yes, I like what you offer because it meets my needs, right? Actually, they say it helps me solving my problem. And in other words, it has added value in my life, okay? If the customers say that, the customers will come to our product and they're going to spend their money to us, right? In other words, as a marketer, from marketing perspective, we also have created value in here, right? We create value for the firm as well because the firm will be wealthier. Agree?
Yes.
When the customers come to us, yep, they bring money to us. That means we are creating value as well for the firm, right? So that's what we mean by marketing. Okay. Now, if you look at the marketing definition that the American Marketing Association published, right, you'll be able to find those keywords: the value, and also exchange, right? Because it is actually defined as creating, communicating offerings that has value for customers in the exchange process. All right, so they are basically the keywords that we want to include in our marketing definition. Right? Look, I do not expect that we still say that marketing is advertising or social media. All right, because it takes more than just social media. Social media is just a matter of how we connect with the customers. Okay, but behind that, we actually do a number of things to get the customers connected to us. Okay. All right. Any questions so far?
No.
All right. All good. Brilliant. Right. Let's move on. Okay. So I'm going to skip that, and you can look at the recording of the that I have put, because the recording actually contains discuss these slides as well. And now this is the one that the American Marketing Association published some time ago. Now, actually, this definition is the old definition. The new one actually has changed. If you look at that, the American Marketing Association back in 2003 defined marketing as an organizational function, okay, and a set of processes for creating, communicating, and delivering value to customers. Okay, and actually, in 2013, they revised the definition. The American Marketing Association revised the definition to change this organizational function into activity, right? Into a set of activity. Okay. So what does it mean, guys? What is the implication? As an organizational function, that actually refers to marketing department, agree? Yeah. That actually refers to marketing department, right? But as a set of activity, okay, actually they include everybody in the organization, right? In other words, it is an acknowledgement, okay, that marketing is actually something that everybody in the organization contributes. Right? Whatever you do in the organization, either you do sales job, you do human resources job, you do a finance accounting job, you do supply chain or manufacturing job, you do R&D, you do marketing, you are actually in the process of creating, communicating, and delivering value to customers. Okay. Now that's another keyword that you also want to consider: relationship. Okay. In the olden days, back in 1960s, marketing was defined as Jerome McCarthy actually offered the first marketing definition. He offered the definition that he defined marketing as the flow of goods and services from manufacturers to customers. Well, actually, it is just a small part of marketing. Okay, it is just the logistical part of marketing. Okay, and in 1967, Philip Kotler offered his own definition that revolves around satisfying human needs. Okay, that's what Kotler offered at the time. Okay, and in 1980s, there was another guy. There was another scholar named Leonard Berry. Reminding everybody, because after Kotler offered the satisfying human needs, people actually were busy spreading the news to the world that marketing is marketing mix, right? And therefore, I'm not surprised until now when I come to class, I ask what is marketing. Some people say marketing is actually marketing mix. Well, actually, it's not. Okay, Leonard Berry back in 1980s suggests that, hang on a second, guys. Actually, the keyword in marketing is not marketing mix. Marketing mix is just the tool, right? Marketing mix is only the variable that marketing management controls to drive the relationship, to build the relationship with the customers, right? The product, price, place, and promotion are just the tools to drive the exchange process with the customers. It is not the only thing, right? It is not the major thing, right? And after that, people think about, okay, what is the evidence that actually marketing is about relationship? Okay, and he suggested that the keyword in marketing is relationship. And if we trace back to the ancient period, where the Chinese merchant, for instance, took the merchandise from China to the Middle East through the Silk Road, right? They met the customers in the Middle East, right? They did the trading in there. They swapped the merchandise, right? And then they came back to China, bringing the merchandise from the Middle East. In the next trading season, guess what? They met the same customers. What does it mean? They have valued the word relationship. Okay. In other words, the keyword in marketing is actually the keywords in marketing actually revolve around value, exchange, and relationship. Okay. The other things that you do, the social media that you do, the other thing that you do, actually part of the communicating to the customer. So, in other words, when you talk about marketing as social media, you actually talk a little part of it, the communication. Okay. Right, so hopefully that gives us a better picture in terms of understanding the marketing definitions. Yeah, is that okay, guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, brilliant. Just jump in if you have questions. Okay.
No worries.
Brilliant. All right. So again, there are the keywords that you also want to include: the customers' needs, wants, requirements. All right. I'm not going to go through that in more details. Basically, okay. Again, as discussed before, the connection of the customers, the relationship with the customers should be based on mutual benefit, both for the company and also for the customers. Okay, and hang on. Sorry about that. And I'm in my home office. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Now, the underpinning relationship with the customers is basically to meet their needs, wants, and requirements. Okay, otherwise the relationship, otherwise we cannot build the connection with the customers without meeting their needs. Now, in the webinar 2 days ago, I mentioned that some brands can sustain more than 100 years, more than 50 years, more than 100 years, for instance. Some other brands may struggle, okay, and after some certain long period of profitable business, like Kodak, for instance, they struggle to meet the customers' needs and demand, okay? That's the reason why it is our task in marketing to keep making our offering relevant for the customers. Okay? Right, and I'm not going to discuss that now. Just briefly about the marketing philosophies. We have production concept, product concept, selling concepts. Okay, and the next one is marketing concept and a societal marketing concept. Okay? The production concepts actually is about makes the belief that everybody's need is the same. Okay, so the companies that adopt production concept believe that everybody's need is the same. Therefore, they only need to create one thing for everybody. Okay, since they can create one thing for everybody, they expect their offering would be affordable, and they can achieve the availability quite high. Okay, so that's the production concept, and we know that. There is no one size fits everybody, right? Unless you are in commodity product or you are in you are the monopoly holder, then it's hard for you to offer something, one thing for everybody. Okay. Now, in the segmentation concept, we'll be learning that basically different customers have different needs. Okay. Now, the next one is product concept, where the company that adopts this philosophy actually say that if they can make their product perfect in terms of quality, performance, and offering number of features, they believe customers will come. Okay, so they will work. Very hard to make their product perfect. Okay, and the next one, selling concepts, which is basically adopted by company that believes that customers will come to them if they do large scales promotional activities. They may advertise, they may ask these telemarketers, telesales to call the customers, right? So they would promote it heavily. Okay, with that they expect they can get the volume. Okay, right. The fourth marketing philosophy is actually marketing concepts that starts with the understanding customers' needs. So the company that adopts this philosophy actually believes that they can win the customer's heart if they understand the customer's needs and wants. Okay, and after that they can create the offering to meet the customer's needs and wants. Okay, and the last one is societal marketing concept, which is basically trying to find a balance between the company's need, which is basically about making profits, the customer's needs, which is basically about satisfying their needs and wants, and the last one is the society's needs, which is basically about sustainability. Okay, right. So that's basically the 5 marketing philosophies. Okay, these 5 marketing philosophies basically give guideline for the company in terms of conducting their own marketing efforts. Okay. So in other words, to me, in my view, it is hard for a company to adopt more than one because they will drive the entire effort differently. Okay, those who adopt the product concept probably will focus more on the R&D effort, for instance, to make the product perfect. Okay, and so on and so forth. Right. Guys, by the way, in the next 8 minutes, we need to log out from this meeting room and then come back to the meeting spot. Give me 2-3 minutes because I need to convert the recording, and after that, I'll be joining you. Okay. Right. I'm not going to discuss this. This is basically telling us about the needs of the customers based on Maslow's theory. Okay. Now I'm going to skip that. And the other thing that I'd like to highlight is the exchange, as we discussed before. In terms of exchange, 2 parties must have something to offer and expect something else as return. Okay. This one shows the core marketing concepts: the needs, wants, demand, market offering, value satisfactions, transactions and relationships, and also markets. Okay. Okay. And the next one I'd like to highlight is actually just briefly about the marketing mix. Okay, they are the product, price, place, promotion, as briefly discussed before. So they are the tools, again, as mentioned before, they are the tools for marketers to drive the exchange process for the customers. Okay, and briefly about each of them, what product, price, place, and promotion means. Okay. And I'm not going to discuss each of them. You can go through it yourself, okay, in terms of product, price, place, promotion, okay? All right, now, look, the other thing I'd like to highlight is the marketing process, okay? Some people offer art pie approach, analyzing marketing opportunities, researching and selecting target markets, designing marketing strategies, planning marketing programs, implementing the program, and evaluate. Okay, they are the approach that we recommend if you refer to our press club e-text, right? Some other scholars suggest a simple way to define the process of marketing. They mention that it should start with the understand. Okay. What do we mean by understand? Well, in here, we understand the customers. Okay, we understand the customers, we understand the market, we understand the competition. Okay, we understand the trend. Okay. And the next one is to create. After we understand, we create the offering. Okay. And the next one, okay, after we create the offering, what else do we need to do? What else do we need to do? What was that?
Communicate.
Absolutely. Spot on. You get full mark. We communicate it. Otherwise, if we don't communicate it, no one will be aware of it. Right? We need to raise the awareness and we need to stimulate trial from the customers. Right? And after that, what's the next one? Create, communicate, and
Learn.
Deliver. Okay. When we communicate, we'll create the awareness, we'll create the trial from the customer perspective. At the same time, we actually communicate the promise for the customers, and we must deliver it. Right. This is when we deliver through the marketing mix variables. Right. We design the marketing mix variables, and now we deliver marketing mix variables for the customers. Okay. Now, after that, what else do we need to do? Does it stop there? Not really. Okay, it doesn't stop there, because the next thing that we do is to learn from it, as you mentioned. Learn from it to get the insight so that we understand again and we create more offering for the customers, a better one for the customers. Okay? So either, you can use the art pie model when it comes to explaining marketing process, or you can also use this one. Understand, create, communicate, and deliver. Right? Either one is fine, because both of them essentially are the same. Okay, both of them are essentially the same. Yeah. Right. Any comments so far?
No.
All right. Good. If that's the case, then what we'll do is let's stop here and come back to the meeting spot by clicking the same link. All right, and we are going to discuss marketing environment. Yeah.
No worries.
Okay. Thanks a lot.